hitting guy. You've gone after Trump when you disagree with him. You've also praised him when you think he does the right thing. Don't you think that the media in this country has lost all perspective?
I don't think it's just the media. I think there are large swathes of the American people who've lost their minds, and the media are fueling this crazy hysteria. You know, here's what I think's happened. The media in America, the mainstream media, print and cable and main network news, they kind of collaborated in fueling the beast of Donald Trump. When he first ran, they started by saying he was a joke. Then they realized he was getting ratings. Then they gave him the airtime. Then they put him on the front pages. They kept fueling. But they never imagined he might actually win. And while they were fueling, he was out there running around America, galvanizing and resonating with the American people in middle America, way away from the two coasts. And then came the moment when the American media went, we've got to kill this guy off. This is out of control. But rather like Dr. Frankenstein, it was too late. The beast that they had helped create, as they see it, could not be killed off, and he won the presidency. What I don't like about what is going on now is there is an absolutely frenzied and concerted attempt to delegitimize, sabotage, and destroy the Trump presidency before it's even started. I think that is un-American. I don't think it's a patriotic thing that they're doing. I think it's nakedly partisan. It's driven by the New York Times, who were completely in the tank for Hillary Clinton. And I think that as a journalist who worked at CNN for 4 years, where CNN always tried to be, I know your view about CNN, but has a lot of good people there. I think they've got to be careful, all of them. They've got to look at what they're doing here and ask themselves, is this legitimate journalistic rigor, or is it incredibly partisan, often nakedly abusive treatment of a new president? And I think, I'm afraid, it's bordering on the latter. This Russian scandal, when you play some journalists who I completely respect, when you play them talking about this being the new Watergate, being Pearl Harbor, 9/11, you know, the biggest scandal since Iran-Contra and so on, this is a wildly exaggerated view as the facts currently stand. The facts are there is nothing right now to link Donald Trump to any collusion with anyone from Russia in relation to the American election.
Piers,
nothing.
I
nothing.
Tell you,
Niet.
that is, you have laid out an extraordinarily powerful indictment against journalism and the media in this country. Let me ask you a follow-up question. And all right, we had a competitive, it's not really competitive, but okay, you mentioned CNN. But when WikiLeaks revealed the level of collusion with the news media and Hillary Clinton's campaign, I'm sure even you were shocked and surprised that it ran so deep on so many levels and how corrupt that is.
Well, look, I think most people at CNN are thoroughly decent journalists, and I respect their integrity.
But they still colluded.
Well, Sean, when you saw the behavior of people like Donna Brazile, who I work with a lot at CNN, deliberately feeding questions to the Clinton camp for debates, I mean, I was completely shocked by that. But I was also shocked when I picked up the New York Times in the middle of the campaign and saw 11 different pieces, including letters, about Donald Trump in one issue, and all 11 were negative, including 4 letters. Now, what does that tell you? What it told me was you have a very partisan paper masquerading as a paper of record. Today's expose, the bombshell by the New York Times, when you actually read it, admits itself it has nothing to link Donald Trump to this. Now, I think it's perfectly reasonable, just to make this point, Sean, it's perfectly reasonable when a national security advisor resigns like General Flynn within 3 weeks of getting the job, for journalists to do their job and go after that. And actually, Donald Trump, I think, should answer questions from CNN and others at press conferences. It's reasonable to go after the story. It's not reasonable to make everybody through the slant of your coverage believe this is Armageddon, Trump's in there with Putin, he's clearly fixed the election, and so on.
Let me bring in Joe diGenova, who I respect as one of Washington's great legal minds. And Joe, I'll put up, let me just ask you a very simple question. Go through from a legal aspect the intelligence leaks that are going on here, how it would violate the Espionage Act, how it violates 18 U.S. Code 798, which we'll get into in more detail. Tell me what you think is really going on with these intelligence leaks, which we all know are illegal, and is that the bigger story?
It is now clear from published information that people who had authorized access to signals intelligence under the Espionage Act, cryptographic intelligence, telephone intercepts, wiretaps, have given that information in violation of the law to news organizations and other parties who are not authorized to receive them. Those disclosures by people who got the information lawfully are crimes. They are felonies under the Espionage Act. The Attorney General should immediately impanel a grand jury and start subpoenaing the limited number of people who have lawful access to these telephone intercepts. That number of people is quite small, and they can start issuing subpoenas to those people, have them interviewed by the FBI, put them in the grand jury, and I can assure you that with the reasonable prosecutor, you can find out who disclosed this information by looking at their telephone records, their emails, and everything else related to how they communicate with third parties.
You have no doubt felonies were committed. You have no doubt the intelligence community or a few members within the intelligence community have done this on purpose. They've done it now numerous times, conversations with Mexico and Australia, for example, and this particular case, that numerous felonies are committed, and you think it will be fairly easy to discover who it was?
Yes, with the use of a grand jury, which was not used in the Hillary Clinton email server case, you can find out as much information as you need to about this, because what is happening here is a coup d'etat. This is designed not to just delegitimize President Trump. This is designed to create the atmospherics for an impeachment and for other legal stratagems to destroy his presidency. If the Attorney General thinks about this for about 5 minutes, there will be a grand jury at work, sure as the sun will rise tomorrow.
All right, I got to thank both of you. Very powerful statements. Piers, Joe, thank you both for being with us. And coming